Hello, my name is Cheryl Lopez, and welcome to the 2021 Monrovia Public Library Holiday Sounds Concert. Just to give you a brief history about the concert before we start, shortly after the library's recent renovation, I asked the librarian if it would be okay if a few musician friends and I came and performed in the library for the holidays. And they were so wonderful to agree, and the first Holiday Sounds concert was born in December of 2010. We hold this concert every year in December, and luckily, during the pandemic times, we've been able to do it virtually, as usually it is held in the library lobby. This year marks our 12th year of the Holiday Sounds Concert, and we're so excited to present a lot of artists from the greater Los Angeles area that have donated their time and their talents to be able to present this concert to you today. And I want to thank those artists. I also want to thank you for joining us today, and I hope you enjoy this concert.
Happy holidays, everyone. My name is Linda Krantz, and I am a solo handbell artist. My instrument is a set of Malmark English handbells, which I will tell you a little bit about as we go along later. I'm really excited to be with you today and share with you my love of this percussion instrument. I started ringing handbells in 1999 and seriously took up solo ringing when I retired in 2005. I'm a concert soloist and a guest artist in worship services. Today I'm going to play you kind of a mix of holiday pieces, Advent pieces, and a few classical pieces. The piece that you just heard is a trumpet tune written by Jean-Joseph Moret called the Rondo from Symphonie des Fanfares. I have a deep love for classical works and play them as often as I can. So we'll start off this little concert with an arrangement of O Come, O Come, Emmanuel by Kurt Meyer. I hope you enjoy. You might have noticed in this last piece that I played something that looked a little different than a handbell. This is called a choir chime. Essentially, it's just a big tuning fork with a clapper on it, but it has a different color, which allows me to have something with a little different sound in a piece that I'm playing, which I think makes a piece a little more interesting. My instrument, which is an English handbell, is made of bronze, which is a mix of copper and tin. And they're individually cast and then lathed for pitch. You'll notice that the clapper assembly only moves on one plane. I can't move it this way. It only moves this way, which gives me the control that I need for, for dynamics. You can have, they make up to 7 octaves of handbells from G2 to C9, but as a soloist, my range usually runs from C5 to C7, and I add additional lower and upper pitches as I need them. This next piece that I'm going to play is Savior of the Nations Come, arranged by Jason Krug. One of the things that I really love about handbells and the handbell world is that our composers are mostly living and actually very good friends of mine. With the exception of my opening piece, every song I'm playing today is written by someone that I personally know well, which is a very exciting thing for a musician, to be able to talk to your composers and commission them for pieces that you want to play. I also really love to play transcriptions of classical pieces, and I have a heart, I've discovered, for Gabriel Fauré. I have played several of his works. Now, we were posed a few questions that the audience might normally ask from the library, and one of them was, what has been the hardest piece for me to play? And that, hands down, would have been Ernst Bloch's Nocturne No. 2 from his 3 Nocturne Suite. Now, this piece is written for a cello, a piano, and a violin, and I played the violin part. It took every single bell I owned between A4 and C8, and it was a challenge to get them all on an 8-foot table, and it was really great fun to put it together with the cellist and the pianist, and I'm proud of that performance, as hard as it was. This next piece is Carol Fest by Phyllis Tincher. It's a medley of Christmas carols for you. I hope you enjoy. So I've been asked to tell you a little bit about what I do. You know, I'm a concert soloist. I also play in worship services. I also teach. And I have taught all across our country. We have a guild, the Handbell Musicians of America. I'm a very active participant in that guild. And I've been doing an awful lot of teaching online during the pandemic, which has been exciting for me. I have also played all across Europe with choirs, and I've soloed in Paris, which is very fun to say that I've played worldwide. And I have some really interesting questions from some of the other participants in this concert that you might have asked as an audience at the library. So I'm going to go through a few of them now. One of the questions was, do the bells need to be tuned? And that's no, they can't be tuned because that happens at the factory. If the handbell begins to sound flat or sharp, then it's probably cracked and needs to be replaced. What happens if you don't wear gloves when you play? Nothing really. The glove thing sort of came about when handbells were originally designed way back in the 1500s. They had leather handles, and the gloves protected the player's hands from that leather. We play them. It's a tradition. You can use them or not. If you don't use them, you just have to wipe down your instruments more often, as any instrumentalist needs to do. And yes, for those who do wear gloves, they come in many, many colors, not only black and white. Some groups wear tie-dyed. For practice purposes, I have gloves with my dog's face on them. I've got them with handbells on them. So it doesn't really matter. Sometimes I play with gloves and sometimes I don't. It just depends on how slippery my hands are on any given day. What happens if you lose or damage one bell? Can you get a replacement, or do you need to purchase a whole new set? Well, thankfully, these come completely apart. We have a handbell, we have a collar, and these are all held together by an assembly screw in here. So you can just replace the casting, and or the collar, or the clapper, whatever might need replacing, and that is not a problem. And the factory generally has a record of the set that you purchased, and they can voice it accordingly. The next question, I kind of like this one. Thank you for giving me a chance to answer this one. What are some names handbell players are comfortable being called? Handbellist. That was one of the things they suggested. Well, we just hope that you will not call us ding-a-lings. We prefer handbell musician. Thank you. And do you have to avoid a certain material of clothing when you perform? I'm thinking sequin. Well, yeah, some do, because if the musician is damping on their shoulder, the sequins will zing. I'm mostly damp with my fingers or on the table, and there are an awful lot of sparkly fabrics that don't zing, so we just have to be mindful of that. So thank you for some of these great questions. I really appreciate it. This next piece is Noël Novelet, arranged by Jason Krug. I'm also the founder and chief cook and bottle washer for LA Bronze, which is a semi-professional handbell ensemble. One of the questions I was asked was, when one plays in a bell choir, is it hard to practice your part since you only cover a few notes? And yes, for some people that can be difficult, but we have a variety of ways to manage that: recordings, metronome, getting together, playing with somebody else. In really complicated music, we often have many notes and or instruments to cover. For instance, a ringer might be playing hand chimes plus another type of handbell, a Whitechapel or a Petit Fritzen, which have different overtones. I've been known to have as many as 15 pieces of equipment, maybe more, in front of me in one particular piece. But we're accustomed to doing that. I like to find recordings. Sometimes I'll use my slow downer app to slow them down so that I make sure that I'm being accurate. I do an awful lot of metronome work, as I imagine any musician would do. And in LA Bronze, we are tasked with learning our music ahead of time so that we can devote rehearsal time to making music. Since we don't rehearse every single week, we only rehearse a couple of times a month, so that's an expectation of this group. And I was asked, what is the hardest piece I've ever learned in an ensemble? Would be Mendelssohn's Italian Symphony. Yep, we played that on handbells. This next piece is an arrangement that I requested from Jason Krug. In my solo concerts, I always like to begin and end the concert with something joyful. And I really love this arrangement of Ode to Joy. This arrangement includes a bell tree, which is where we string the bells together, hang them on a stand, and then play them with mallets. I hope you enjoy. I was also asked to demonstrate some of the sounds that handbells can make. So here are just a few. There are a lot of different stopped sounds that handbells can make. We have marts, we have thumb dams, we have mart lifts, we have echoes. Now these are most effective with really big bells, but perhaps you can hear it in here. We have swings, which you may or may not be able to hear here. Controlled diminuendo. Ring touch. It's another stop sound, or you might hear people do it that way. And lots of composers like to use the shake. And I kind of like this one. You need the right piece for that one. This final piece is a somewhat unusual arrangement of Silent Night, because I kind of like to be different sometimes. It's arranged by my friend Joel Gingrich. I hope you all have a really joyous and peaceful holiday. Thank you for asking me to be a part of this. I hope you all enjoyed this as much as I did. Happy holidays.
and happy holidays, and welcome to the Northridge Flute Trios portion of the Holiday Sounds presented by Monrovia Library. My name is Sandy Iles, and I have taught at Cal State Northridge for over 20 years. 20 years ago, I created a flute honors ensemble featuring flute majors who are dedicated to practice, improvement, artistry, and sharing their talent with others, and that's what we have today. This year's ensemble members are Jonathan Rodriguez, Magenta Money, and Marcos Ramirez, and you're going to meet them up close and personal throughout our concert. Let's go ahead and get started. Our first piece is a medley, or mashup, as I like to say, of Jolly Old St. Nicholas and Deck the Halls. We like to call it Jolly Halls. We hope wherever you are on your couch with a cat and a blanket or in front of a fireplace. Our next song is an old English folk melody, The First Noel, which of course means the first Christmas. The melody as we know it today was first published in 1823 by a man named William Sandys, which I think is pretty cool since my name is Sandy. And if I married him, I would be Sandy Sandys. Here's The First Noel. So happy to be a part of this year's Holiday Sounds concert, and Monrovia Library wanted you to get to know us a little bit better, so they have sent a couple questions to us that they would like us to answer. The first question is, what hobby or activities do you enjoy when you are not playing the flute? Jonathan.
So I spend probably an unhealthy amount of time on TikTok. I like a lot of their cooking videos. I like skincare videos and funny story times. I also spend a lot of time listening to classical music and working on skincare.
Cool. Magenta.
I love to read. I love reading fiction books and books about psychology. I also love being out in nature, going hiking and camping and visiting national parks. My favorite national park I've been to so far is Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming.
Oh, beautiful. Marcos.
When I'm not playing the flute, I like to spend time with my friends and my family. I also like to spend time outdoors. I especially like to hike as well. My favorite hiking trail is the one in Veterans Park in Sylvan.
Beautiful. This is a hiking trio because that's one of my things. I love to hike. My husband and I live near Griffith Park and Brand Library, so we like to hike there. I also love to travel. We just came back from a steamboat cruise for Thanksgiving on the Columbia River, and I love taking naps with my cats. Our next piece is a fun and very popular Christmas song called Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Rudolph, of course, was the youngest of Santa's reindeer, and this song first appeared in a booklet written in 1939 by Robert L. May. The booklet, interestingly enough, was published by Montgomery Ward, the department store. So here is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I would now like to introduce one of the members of the Northridge Flute Trio, Magenta Money, who's going to share a little bit with you about herself and introduce the next piece.
Hello, I play second flute in the Northridge Flute Trio. This is my second year in the trio. This is also my second year at California State University Northridge as a flute performance major. I actually transferred from Antelope Valley College where I got my associate's degree in math, so I'm doing something completely different, but I have been playing flute for over a decade and it's something that I really love. And now I'll be introducing our next piece, which is a duet with me and Jonathan, our first flute player, and it's called Bring a Torch, Jeanette, Isabella. This song originated from Provence, the countryside of France, in the 17th century. And it was actually meant not as Christmas music, but as dance music for French nobility. And then it gained popularity when it was used as a drinking song by the French composer Charpentier. The story goes that Jeanette and Isabella were farmhands who found the Mother Mary and baby Jesus in the stable and went to tell everybody the great news. To this day, in Provence, children still carry torches and sing this carol on their way to midnight mass on Christmas Eve.
cellist in Texas named Jim Higgins who does the most wonderful arrangements of music for strings, for woodwinds. And the next piece that we're going to play is called the Christmas Rondo, which is one of Jim's really fun and creative arrangements that he did for Christmas. He calls it a Christmas rondo because he wrote it in almost a classical style. A rondo in music means a theme that keeps returning, and that theme unites the piece. And in his Christmas rondo, he uses jingle bells to unite this piece. So here is Christmas Rondo. I love that arrangement. Our next piece is another mashup of two beautiful Christmas melodies, Silent Night and It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. Silent Night, of course, is a German song, Stille Nacht, and was composed in the early 1800s by Franz Gruber. And It Came Upon a Midnight Clear, which is sometimes called It Came Upon the Midnight Clear, was originally a poem and written in the mid-1800s by an American pastor, Edmund Sears. It was later set to music by Richard Willis. I think these two melodies go together perfectly. So here is what we call Silent Midnight. time for our second question from Monrovia Library. And to get to know us a little bit better, they would like to know, what is our dream job? And I'm going to start with Magenta. What is your dream job?
I'd love to play in a symphony orchestra. I love to make music with other musicians. And to be more specific, if I could be a part of an orchestra that travels a lot, travels the world, that would be really cool to see and perform in different places.
Awesome. Marcos, what would be your dream job?
Quite like Magenta's answer, I would like to play in a larger ensemble, specifically maybe a symphonic orchestra or a ballet orchestra, but I would more specifically like to play in an ensemble that records for video game music.
Fun. Video game music is a new genre. Great music. Jonathan, what's your dream job?
I would want to play flute with Emmanuel Pahud, one of the most famous living flute players in the Berlin Philharmonic. But I also love teaching, so I want to have my own private studio.
Excellent. My dream job would be to play for all the baby animals at the zoo. That would be my dream job. Maybe that's a fantasy job. Our next piece is, big surprise, another medley of Christmas music. This is a medley of Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Up on a Housetop, Here Comes Santa Claus, and Frosty the Snowman. Christmas medley. Piece is We Three Kings, also known as We Three Kings of Orient Are. This is another Christmas carol that was written in the mid-1800s. It was written by John Henry Hopkins Jr., and he composed it for a Christmas pageant in New York City. Since our trio today consists of 2 men and a lovely lady, I have renamed this We 2 Kings and a Queen of Northridge Are. Next, we're going to feature Marcos and Jonathan in a duet called I Saw Three Ships on Christmas Day in the Morning. This includes two melodies that fit together beautifully because they both are in 6/8 and have such a really fun, bouncy feel. I Saw Three Ships is another English carol and has been recorded by countless singers, but what I was most surprised to find was a recording by the pop singer Sting. Here's our duet of I Saw Three Ships on Christmas Day in the Morning. Our next piece, Happy Hanukkah, My Friend, I have to admit is one of my favorite holiday melodies. It's also known as the Hanukkah song. It was written by Justin Wilde and Douglas Konecki, and the lyrics start, spin the dreidel, light the lights, everyone stay home tonight. The story is told, the young and the old together. As twilight meets the setting sun, light the candles one by one. Remember the past, traditions that last forever. Happy Hanukkah, my friend. And it's time for the third question to get to know us a little bit better. The question is, do you play any instruments other than the flute? Marcos, do you play anything other than the flute?
I do not play any other instrument besides the flute. I knew once I picked up the instrument that's what I wanted to play. This is what I want to focus on.
You specialize.
Yeah.
I like it. Jonathan?
I play everything in the flute consort, so that's the C flute, piccolo, alto flute, and bass flute. I also play piano and just a little bit of saxophone.
All right, but we won't hold that against you. Magenta?
I also play piccolo, which is very similar to the flute, of course. And I'm learning piano, but I'm not so good at it yet.
Me neither. In addition to flute and piccolo, I also play a pink plastic trombone called a P-bone that my husband bought me. He also bought me a theremin, which I do plan on taking lessons, and one of these days I'm going to surprise him with a bagpipe solo. Our next piece is another little mashup. We call it God Rest King Wenceslas. And it is a mashup of God Resting Merry Gentlemen and Good King Wenceslas. So here is God Rest King Wenceslas. Next piece is another mashup, and this is a mashup of O Come All Ye Faithful and probably the most popular Christmas song, Jingle Bells. When I was a kid, I often misunderstood the words in songs, and I always thought in Jingle Bells that they were saying dashing through the snow on a one-horse slopin' sleigh, and I've always wondered my whole life what a slopin' sleigh is. So here is O Come All Ye Bells. now meet Jonathan Rodriguez, who is the principal of the Northridge Flute Trio. He's going to tell you a little bit about himself and introduce the next song.
Hello, I am a senior flute performance major here at CSUN. I've really been liking it here. I like working with Sandy and all the other flute faculty. But I don't only like to perform, I like to teach a lot too. So I teach flute at a high school in Santa Clarita, and I also tutor several college subjects at Long Beach City College. I tutor music, math, Japanese, and philosophy, about 20 different college courses in total. And our next piece is a duet by Magenta and Marcos. It's called O Come Emmanuel. This song has several centuries of history behind it, where it was originally written in Latin, and later it was sung by priests around Christmas, and today it's a common Christmas carol. And music like this reminds me of one of my family's Mexican traditions called Las Posadas, which is kind of like the Latin American version of Christmas caroling, except we don't do it a lot here in the US. So they march around the outside of the house singing all these different Christmas songs in Spanish, and music like this really reminds me of seeing my family over the holidays. Hope you enjoy.
piece is my dreidel, which is also known as I Have a Little Dreidel, or the dreidel song. This arrangement is a little bit different probably than the versions you've heard before. It is very creative and really fun. Dreidel, my dreidel, is a children's Hanukkah song and refers to the game that children play by spinning a dreidel. You probably all know what a dreidel looks like. It's a spinning top with 4 sides, and each of the sides is inscribed with a different Hebrew letter. Just in case you don't know what a dreidel looks like, it looks like that. It's a very fun game to play. And once the dreidel stops spinning, depending on what side is up, determines the next step in the game. So please enjoy our very creative version of My Dreidel. Question from the library to get to know us a little bit better. The last question is, do you have a favorite Christmas memory or a memorable gift that you might have received around the holiday season? Marcos, any special memory?
Well, my long-term memory is not that great, so I can't remember many Christmases in a row. But I do have fond memories of just hanging around the Christmas tree at night with the Christmas lights, watching Christmas movies, smelling the cinnamon or peppermint candles, and just being with my family, never knowing when I was going to open my presents because my parents never told me. But just having a nice time with my whole family in a warm house.
Beautiful. Magenta?
One of my memories from when I was little, and I have a younger brother who's about 2 years younger than me, and on Christmas morning he would come into my room and wake me up bright and early because he wasn't allowed to wake my parents up, so I had to wait and entertain him. So he would read books in my bed or do something just so I could make sure that my parents could stay asleep until we were allowed to open presents.
Oh, how fun. Jonathan?
One of the memories I have when I was a child was trying to catch Santa on Christmas Eve, put all the presents out, so I would stay up all night long. But of course, I always fell asleep, and I never saw or caught Santa putting out the presents and eating the cookies at night.
It's tough not to catch them.
Yeah.
My favorite memory was when I was little, I was more into the stocking that Santa filled than the presents themselves. And I remember one year I was probably 10 or 11, my brother and sister and I had all come down the stairs excited, and they started to go through their stocking to see what it was stuffed with. And my eyes popped out because nothing was in my stocking. My stocking was draped over a brand new, shiny, beautiful metal 2-drawer file cabinet. My mom totally got inside of me. That's type A personality, loving to organize. It was the first of many file cabinets in my life. We have 2 more pieces for you. The piece we're gonna play next is not a traditional Christmas song, but it's something that I always think of at the holiday season. It's one of those songs that still embodies the magic of the season. It's a song that brings to mind the wishes that children have all over the world waiting for Santa's arrival, and also the sparkle of the stars in the sky and on top of millions of Christmas trees. Here is When You Wish Upon a Star. Before we play our last piece, we want to thank the Monrovia Library for once again producing this annual holiday concert, and especially librarian Stephanie Ulady and her staff. And of course, flutist and coordinator of the Holiday Sounds concert, Cheryl Lopez, who I am proud to say is a former student of mine here at Cal State Northridge and a former member of this honors flute ensemble. Thank you, Cheryl. And lastly, we'd like to thank all of you who tuned in today to listen to this holiday program. We thank you and we wish you a safe and joyous holiday season. We wish you a Merry Christmas.
hallelujah, sing, sing, and clap your hands, sing, sing, hallelujah, sing, sing, and clap your hands, sing, rejoice, sing, hallelujah, sing, sing, and clap your hands, sing, hallelujah, sing, sing, and clap your hands, and rejoice, sing, hallelujah, sing, sing, and clap your hands, sing, hallelujah, sing, sing, and clap your hands, and rejoice. All that have life, all that have breath, sing and dance and clap your hands. All that have life, all that have breath, join together in song. All that have life, all that have breath, sing and dance and clap your hands. All that have life, all that have breath, join together in song. Shout it up from the highest mountain. Shout it up and clap your hands. Shout it up from the hills and valleys. Peace throughout the land. Peace throughout the land. Peace throughout the land. Sing hallelujah, clap your hands. Sing and rejoice. Sing hallelujah, clap your hands. Sing and rejoice. Sing hallelujah, sing, sing. And another bow. Danny, let's go.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our concert and that it helped put you in the holiday spirit. Please follow the Monrovia Public Library social media to be able to get the latest info on their programs as well as the next Holiday Sounds concert date. If any of you would like to book any of the artists that performed today for your next event, please refer to the contact information that was shared by the librarian. And if you or anyone you know would like to learn more about music, please feel free to contact me at lopezflute@gmail.com, which is my email, or my Instagram page is @lopezflute. I teach flute lessons, both private and group flute lessons. I also do flute clinics at marching band and concert bands, and I can also connect you with music educators in your area. Thank you so much to the Monrovia Library for making this concert a Monrovia community tradition. Thank you so much to the artists for participating in this year's concert, and I want to wish you a healthy and happy and safe holiday season. Bye, see you next year.